Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm Ruchita Shaikh. I am the Executive Director at Artcore, and I'm also a ceramicist and a trained artist. So today I'm going to share with you some of the work that I have done in the past, my ceramic work, but also I'm going to share with you my journey in this area of ceramic design and doing ceramic art, as well as running Artcore. For the people who don't know, um, Artcore has been running since 1995. It started in India as a contemporary art gallery, and now it's operating as an art center, an art gallery, a craft place, and much more, working with artists in Derby, Derbyshire, and around the world. Um, if I talk about myself and my love for clay and ceramics, it started long time back when I was a kid. Someone some, got me some clay as a gift, and I started playing, making some little utensils and vessels. And then it developed further when I joined fine arts many years back in India at MS University Fine Arts College in Baroda, where I learned pottery on the wheel, some hand building techniques, um, combining art, aesthetics, form, and function. And then I developed my interest further. I realized that my interest was growing more towards um, functionality of things. So I started looking at, when I used to make clay, things in clay or ceramics. I I always had this in the back of my mind where I would have a function or a purpose to what I was making or what was being created. So I don't have a lot of my works from the past, but I have some of the works which I will share with you and show you. So this is done on the pottery wheel, handmade, and it has a beautiful glaze on it, which is called red reduction glaze. We were amongst, I'm talking about 95, 96, 1995, 96, when we were fortunate enough, I would say fortunate, where there were no ready-made glazes available. So we had to develop our own recipe and grind our own glazes, so literally grind them by hand. So this was one of my favorite glazes. It was called red reduction glaze, and it works very different when if people who know about clay, if a pot is put through a reduction process, it comes out different, and if it is put through an oxidation process, the chemical reaction is different. So the glaze turns out different in these occasions. So this is done on the wheel, um, while I was still studying and learning. This is another work of mine, which is again done on the wheel, on the pottery wheel, so one of its kind, very, I love it. So I'm keeping it quite safe. Um, this is a slip. So you make the plate on the wheel, and then you play with colored slips on top and put a transparent glaze. So it's a slip marbling effect that is done. So these are some decoration techniques that I've used. And then when I went to study further ceramics as a design subject at National Institute of Design in Ahmedabad in India, we looked at more the functional element, the mass production. So on one side, I was fascinated by the one-offs, making things by hand, handmade one-off. But also something that intrigued me always was how, the cup we drink tea in or the plate we eat food in, they're mass produced. But how do you bring a design feature, an element that is functional but also aesthetically that people would like it? So hence I went on to do ceramic design at National Institute of Design for as a post-graduation course, where I looked at more the functional elements, the form, the decor, and how do you mass produce. So these were this was a project that I worked on in the initial days at NID, National Institute of Design, where we were meant to design something for a fast food restaurant. And at that time in India, it was very much about, fast food consists of noodles, burgers, and how soups and things which is quick to eat. So I designed a range of tableware for a local restaurant in Ahmedabad. I don't remember the name of it. This is many years back, but we looked at not the form, so making sure the form is quite fluid, but also the ease of making. So if we were to make hundreds of these, how easily can be made? So that's where the mass production element comes in when you're looking at the design aspects and things. So if people know about the mass production element, it was a single piece mold, which was a jolly jigger process, and we were able to, in my college, I was able to make about 25, 30 at one point of time of these products. But we also looked at the decor, so if people can see the design on it, it was very much like, catering to noodles and the type of food that was served in that restaurant. Following that, I went to do some, I wanted to see how designers model makers work together with some surface designers, and I got an opportunity to go and do some work in Germany with Rosenthal, which this was in the year 2000. I'm showing off my age here now. But at that time, it was interesting for me as a recent graduate to understand that model makers, ceramic designers were working very closely with textile designers. We were working very closely with fashion designers for creating ceramic designs, which was very interesting. And Rosenthal, being kind of one of the top leaders in porcelain manufacturing, they worked with various designers to produce their tableware designs. And I think I was quite fortunate to get that experience working for 6 months in Germany, where I produced some of the designs I have here. I was given a brief to work on an Asian theme, tableware theme, so with every brief there's limitations, or I think it's good to have limitations because then you can work within those things. So the brief was to work with simple basic shapes of oval, circle, and square, and I concentrated on form design. So this is where I produced a curry pot, and I experimented using different mediums. So this is porcelain, the bottom is porcelain, and the top is metal. And it's quite an easy fixture, like the rivet system that you fix it with. So yeah, it's easy to clean. But as you see, there's no decor on it because I concentrated on the form design of it. So this was a little more complex, where it involved 4-piece mold, and I worked closely with some of the leading model makers in Germany, which is very interesting. They wouldn't even allow for a difference of 1 millimeter, so I had to redo the designs of the models in styrofoam a couple of times before it would go further for production. So yes, this is one of those. There is another one where I used. So again, I worked on the form here, where the top bit is circular and the bottom bit is squarish, and it sits into a wooden frame which has broken, but I wouldn't mind showing it to you. So it literally slits in and sits in the wooden frame. So again, I was looking at how easy the joinery would be. So all those aspects go into thinking when you're thinking about design elements. And they can be, because they're made with molds, they can be mass produced to cater for more people to use it. So that's kind of my ceramic side of stories. With these motivational mornings, I think it's very valuable to see that the engagement that we have through people looking at it, but also through our staff and some of the artists who've been engaging in these activities to show and share their talent and their knowledge. I personally, I have been following it on Facebook, and I felt it very useful. So thanks to all Artcore staff for you know putting this online motivational mornings. Not only just motivational mornings, but afternoons that, if you're not aware of, we run 3 sessions as Artcore. Motivational mornings in the morning at 11, afternoons at 1 o'clock, which where you create something together with your family, have some fun, some art activities, and then artists take over in the evenings at 4 o'clock. So if you are an artist and if you would like to share your work, your knowledge, your expertise, your journeys, do get in touch with us at Artcore, and through the medium, through the portal of Artcore Facebook page, we can share, we can work together. I am going to show you some simple techniques that you can work in clay with. You don't need to know a awful lot with clay. You might not have clay with you today. So I would say I'll show you the techniques, very simple techniques that you can work from home. We are working at Artcore to get some packs ready for ceramics and clay, which you can order through Artcore's website, which is artcoreuk.com. So I'm going to share a couple of things, very simple ones. I've prepared some blocks of clay, where I'm going to show you this technique called slab work, where you need some simple tools. So if you don't have the wooden tools for clay, it's okay. You can still use a butter knife and some fork at home. You will need a sharp thing like needle. So we have this pin, we call it. And the same clay, if you put some water and dilute it, it's called slip. So this is literally, I've made it today. So it's quite easy. It works as a glue. So any 2 pieces of clay you want to stick together, use the slip to stick together. I also have one more thing that my son, he's 9 now, but he made it when he was 6 years old, 6 or 7 years old. And this is simple slab work where he's used some impressions, if you can see it. And I use it to put my jewelry in. It sits on my dressing table. It's a different type of clay. It's terracotta clay, but it's very simple, and anybody can use it. So I'm going to start off by, I'm just looking at the time, and simple way how you can roll a slab is first roll kind of the shape that you want the slab to be in. So I've kind of kept it a bit longer, and then using your palm, just tap it down and flatten it down. I'll move this away so people can see it. Turn it around as you can. While we are rolling the slab out, you may want to think about some impressions that you can take. So you can, I brought some things from outside from my garden, some leaves, so something from the nature that you can take impressions from. Or what I have here, which I've covered it up with a cling film, is a little plastic basket where you can use the design of it to create your own work. I'll show you how to use it, but also when you roll a slab, you start from the middle and then you roll outwards. What I have here are these 2 same size pieces of plastic, or you can use wood or anything. That means that if you roll on it, your slab won't go thinner than the thickness of those supports that you have. So it just kind of helps for your slab to not go very thin, because otherwise if you're planning to fire it in the kiln, bake it in the kiln, it will break if it's too thin. So I'm just rolling it out. With some people who are experienced in using clay, they may not need those supports, so it's up to you if you want to use those guides for the thickness. But I would say with slab work, it's best to leave it a little thicker. So you could have it as about 3 to 4 millimeters thickness for the slab. Okay, so I've rolled this slab in my mind, I have an idea of how and what I want to do, what sort of shape. If you are comfortable, you can draw it out on paper just to get an idea and then start. And you remember the needle or the pin that I showed you earlier. We use that to cut out. So I'm just going to use this as a support to cut the base. I'm giving it some flat edge. So I've got a basic rectangular kind of shape at the bottom. And then I've left the top as it is, and I'm going to arrange some of these leaves because they give a beautiful impression. So I'm going to arrange some of these leaves on the slab, and then one more time roll over, just not with a lot of pressure, but just roll over on top of the clay. The leaves would sit inside and create an impression. So if you can see that, you can leave the leaves in. You don't have to take it out, and when you do fire your pot, it'll come out. The leaves will burn away, and you'll get the impressions on. So, and if you want, you can remove the leaves as well. I'm just going to cut the top bit a little bit to give a little shape. And then I'm going to leave this slab on the side, and the remaining clay that we took the sides out, I'm just going to roll it into a ball to make a little base for it. When you're rolling your clay, try not to poke fingers in it because it traps more air. And if air is trapped in the clay, then in the kiln your pot might not survive, it might burst. I'm just creating a little flat circular base, and I'm going to just give it a little bit of roll, and mark out. So either what you can do is you can put your slab up. Might just this. So you might want to kind of mark out how big you want your pot to be, very roughly, and just put some guide little pin on it. And I'm going to cut out the areas that I've marked into a circular form. You can make it into any other form. You don't have to do it as a circle, but I've cut out a circle there. And then this is the important bit when you're sticking to pieces. You score the sides of your slab. So I've done some scoring, if you can see. And then you score the big slab that you are working, the sides of that as well. When you score things and you put slip on it, it kind of bonds better, so it sticks better. I'm going to put the slip that I made earlier. On both the surfaces. And then put the slab around. Now when it comes to the bit where you're going to stick it, I'm going to turn it around so you can see it. Where you're joining these two, again, you've got to score it, both sides. Put some slip on. And then stick it properly and merge it from inside so it doesn't. If you want, you can leave the joint and show that joint, but if you don't want joint to be seen, you can really merge it. So this is a very simple way that you can make a pot and still have some, some decorations on. So I have created a little slab earlier and had the same leaves on, and if you want to see what the patterns look like, closely, I don't know if you can see it from that distance. So this is how it will come out, and then you can put glaze on top, or you can leave it without glazing. What I have also done very quickly is that I have rolled a largish slab out beforehand, and I'm going to use this interesting basket which I've covered in cling film. I'm going to drape the slab on it. Just press it down a little bit. So the impressions of the basket, engraved plastic basket, will come on the slab. You can tidy up the edges if you want. I'll move this aside so you can see. You can tidy up the edges, or you can leave the edges like that if you want. But nicely pressing. The slab is a little more thicker. It's about 4 to 5 millimeters thick. And what I'll do is once it gets a little more dry, I will take the plastic out and I'll show you the picture of how it looks. So these are some of the basic techniques that you can work with clay. You can use air drying clay. What I have used here is stoneware clay, which needs firing at about 1200 degrees temperature. But you can use air drying clay, but then you won't be able to put any liquids in it, but you can still use it for your jewelry pot and stuff like that. So that's pretty much from my end today, but I hope you all are keeping well and staying safe. And I would like to share with you that it is very, very important for every one of us to, especially in these times, to stay connected, to share positive messages with each other, and to keep well and keep indoors. So it is this is through the motivational mornings, through the afternoons, and through Artist Takeover. It's a way that you can keep connected with Artcore. I'm going to quickly read out the messages what people have there, and if there's anything I need to answer, I'll quickly do that. Sorry, I forgot about that. I don't think, if people have any questions, they're welcome to post it afterwards as well. I'm trying to, I don't see anybody's questions on there. But I hope you've all enjoyed this session, and stay safe. Thank you very much. Take care.